Hi, welcome to the room, guys. Come on in. CBD Talk Movement Talk Live. Welcome, welcome. I'm gonna go ahead and add some people here. Hi, how y'all doing? Welcome to CBD Movement Talk Live. Welcome, welcome, CTFO family. Go ahead and fill up the room and share this feed for me, please. For those of you who are new to CBD Movement Talk Live, there's a little blue tab that should pop up on your screen. Be sure to click that. That'll help you be able to get into the notifications. Hello, is there anybody there that can see me? As you come into the room, be sure to. Hi, Terry. Hi. As you come into the room, be sure to share this feed. I'm just giving people time to get here. How's it going, Terry? How you feeling this evening? Let me know if you can see this feed. Only see one person right now in the room. Hey, Mr. CEO is in the house. Guys, if you can see this live, be sure to send out an emoji that you can see this live, okay? I'll be starting in another minute. Let me just do a quick check real quick. All right. Hi, hi, hi. Laying down with a headache. Oh, I hope you feel better. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the welcome. Just a little housekeeping. How y'all doing tonight? If you're watching this live, welcome to CBD Movement Talk Live. And I will be your host tonight, LaTasha J, with an awesome topic on health that can help you with your life. So not only are we going to give you just information on these illnesses and diseases, but we're also going to give you an option towards a solution that you can try so that you can have a better quality of life. So let's go ahead and get into it. Guys, tonight's topic is on sclerosis, okay? And not only just sclerosis in general, but just one of them in particular, and that is MS sclerosis, okay? Um, that's just the nickname for one of them. For guys that don't know about sclerosis, there are 12 forms of sclerosis type diseases broken down, 12 different kinds of sclerosis. Okay, and in this particular one, it deals with a multitude of issues. So that's why it's called multiple sclerosis. But we're just going to call it sclerosis um, today, okay? So we're going to find out what is sclerosis and some things that you can actually do for it as a solution. So let's find out what is sclerosis. An immune system that attacks its own tissue. And in cases of MS, the immune system malfunctions and destroys the melanin coating of the fatty substance that coats the nervous system. So guys, basically it's when your autoimmune system begins to have a malfunction and your body sends off the wrong signals and starts attacking itself because it's thinking that there's a disease or something is wrong there that needs to be eradicated or, swept out of the body. So it starts attacking the good parts of the body by accident. So imagine that your body is attacking itself, killing off itself. And when you're talking about it destroying the coding to the nervous system, guys, your nervous system is your telephone wires to your body. So imagine having all these wires with all different branches of connections running through your body. And these antibodies are attacking your nervous system. They're attacking your telephone wires. So, you know what happens when you're outside or there's a storm and thunder and lightning hits one of the telephone poles, right? You lose connection, or either the lights go off or they flicker. The connection is what? Disrupted. Well, that's what happens in the body when this attack goes on, when the body begins to attack itself. It destroys the coating. There's a coating that's on your nervous system branches, and it ends up destroying that coating. And so there you have just the influx of antibodies trying to fight and kill off what they think is a disease that's not there. So it ends up being a disorder because of how the body is sending off the wrong signals. Okay. So it's basically the nerve fibers that's the coating that's being removed. And once that coating, if you're not treated for sclerosis and get it under control, once that coating is gone, you're going to start having major chronic sclerosis, chronic forms of it. Okay. So you will have chronic forms of sclerosis. And it also attacks the spinal cord as well. That's like your telephone pole to your body. Okay. So that's also sending signals all the way up from your brain. Your brain is like the call center. From your brain all the way through your spine and through the telephone cords, which is your nervous system. So it begins to attack all those parts, the nervous system and your spinal cord. Okay, guys. So when we're talking about the spinal cord, it's very dangerous because that's where we're talking about the signals that sends out. Can you walk? Can you talk? Can you blink an eye? Can you move your fingers? Can you move your toes? Okay. So I'm breaking it down to you where you can understand and get a visualization of what's actually going on in the body when you have sclerosis. There's minor, like I said before, minor and chronic acute forms of sclerosis. Okay. So moving on, it says MS sclerosis is a disease in which the immune system attacks the protective coating on the nerves. Now, even though it's a small amount, it says here from the CDC that 200,000 cases are known about people having sclerosis or diagnosed with sclerosis per year, and they consider that low. But 200,000 people in the United States end up being diagnosed with some form of sclerosis every year. To me, that's a lot. Now, the CDC is saying that, oh, no, it's not, but that's a lot of people dealing with this issue. Okay. So it says, what ages does it usually show itself? Between the ages of 20 and 40 years of age. That's when people usually start having symptoms, between the ages of 20 and 40 years of age. Okay? And it says it's very rare, but only 2 to about 5% of people have it before the age of 18. So some of y'all was about to say, you know what, LaTasha? I've seen people with sclerosis or MS sclerosis before the age of 18. I just mentioned it now. There's a small case, a small percentage, about 2 to 5%, that end up having it before the age of 18. Their life is literally taken away. The quality of life is taken away before they can even become a full grown adult. It's really sad. Okay, so let's go into some of the symptoms that people end up having that have sclerosis. So, like I said before, the symptoms can be moderate to severe, okay? Moderate to severe. And they can shut on and off as far as with the duration of it. So it says the symptoms and severity and the duration can vary from person to person. So depending on your lifestyle, your diet, I'm going to get into that too because nutrition is a part of everything. Your diet, your lifestyle, how much stress you have in your life can all play a part on how aggressive the sclerosis can be. Okay, so it says it varies from person to person. They can experience vision loss, pain, chronic fatigue, and impaired coordination. Now, when we're talking about impaired coordination, we're talking about you being able to get up and walk, people. Get up and move your body. Now, that's serious. Okay? So it says some people may experience on and off symptoms. So the people that have, there's another type, like I told you, there's 12 forms. Well, one of the forms of sclerosis that people get diagnosed with, they actually have on and off delayed symptoms. So what that means is the antibodies will attack the nervous system and the spinal cord, and then it'll pause for a while. And then the body will start to recuperate. Then all of a sudden, they may go dormant for maybe 1, 2 years, couple of months, whenever, and then there's another attack. It's like on and off, okay? Whereas people with severe sclerosis is a continuation of just descending down into a chronic level of sclerosis where you don't get better. It's just a pure decline. Okay. So it says here people may experience impaired coordination. Some people have experienced on and off symptoms. Some chronic pain areas are in the back and in the eyes. So usually people who have symptoms of sclerosis, the first signs of it is usually with eyes, impaired vision. So we're talking about not being able to see on one side of your eye. Maybe you look to the side in your peripheral. Your peripheral is always going to be your outside vision, okay? And you're not able to see anything. It's like a black spot. Or maybe you might have impaired vision to where you see a spot in the center of your vision. but it's usually something blurry that's going on that starts off. It starts off with blurry vision or what is called double vision, seeing two of something. Those are some of the signs. And lower back pain. Why the lower back pain? Because once you start losing function with the movement of your body and your spine, you have no control over your spine. Most people who you see with sclerosis, guess what? They're humped over. So guess what that's doing to the spine? The spine is used to being straight, just about. Your spine is nearly straight. It may have a slight curve to it, but it's used to being straight up. So when your spine is curved because there's no control over that movement in that spine for long periods of time when it's not supposed to be that way, guess what? It puts pressure on the lower part of your spine, causing intense pain. Okay, so that's some of the signs. All right, moving on. And it says, as a result of head nodding. Remember, I was telling you when you lose function, you see a lot of people with MS, they're like this. They're bent over because there's no muscle function to pull them up for them to be able to have that response to lift up their body. And also, which is heartbreaking, they end up having rapid eye movement because the nervous system, the nerves that's connected to the back of your eye are damaged. So guess what? The nerves that control when you blink, the appropriate time to move your eyes is gone. So now they have twitching in the eyes, uncontrollable twitching. Imagine somebody taking their finger in your eye and just rolling it up to a certain point and not bringing it back down. That's what a lot of people experience that have sclerosis, okay? They experience that feeling with their eye, and it ends up causing pain because guess what? The eye is not supposed to be shifted that way for long periods of time. So that's what are some of the things that goes on, and we're going to go on to some more. With the decrease or decline in function with your body with sclerosis, you end up having what is called tremors. So in the early stages of sclerosis, I don't know if you ever seen it. You've seen people out there, you probably didn't know what they had. You probably might have thought it was old age because usually people see it with people of old age. But I'm going to show you the symptoms. Now, I'm not making fun of people. I want to put this disclaimer out there that I'm not a medical professional. CBD Talk Movement is just giving you educational um, research on these health topics. Okay, guys? So it's important for you to do your due diligence as well. But I'm giving you based off the research and based off the experience of me also being in the healthcare field and actually seeing people with sclerosis and just in everyday life seeing people with sclerosis because I know what it is when I see it because I've been in the healthcare field. Okay, so usually you'll see movements that look like this. You see how I'm moving my hand a little bit slowly? Usually they have light, that's what you call tremors, or their head will shake. Those are tremors with the body. And you'll see that in people that have sclerosis or some form of that type of disease because there's nerve damage in their body, okay, and they can't control it. It's sad to want to be able to control your body so that you don't feel embarrassed about it. You not being able to control your hands and your eyes and everything like that, but you can't do nothing about it. Like I said, it's like you in a shell and everything is just moving on its own. It's taking its own form of life, you know, and that's what these people experience. And it's not their fault. It's due to a lot of it we'll get into about, nutrition, genetics, environmental factors. Okay. Um, so going on, it says, uh, you'll end up having tremors that can occur and with precise movement. So usually the tremors increase when there's a precise movement. Precise movement is just a medical term of saying when you thinking to lift up your hand. So this would be a precise movement. Me raising my arm up, me reaching out for a cup, me bending my knee, me trying to lift up my knee, me trying to walk. Those are precise movements. That's just all that means. In layman terms, it means you moving your body, you picking up a cup, whatever the case may be. Okay? So that's what precise movements mean in hands and in your limbs, okay? Or what they say in medical terms, extremities, okay? But all that means is your hands, your limbs, okay? So, guys, are you able to understand this information? Are y'all retaining what I'm telling y'all? Y'all understanding it? Hopefully, y'all understanding what's going on when you have sclerosis, okay? And this is the MS form of sclerosis. And these symptoms do travel to the other forms as well, okay? So, we're going to go into just more detail about some of the body functions that ends up happening with sclerosis. So let's go more into detail. When we talk about muscular problems, like I've already told you before, you already have the shaking of the hands, but you end up having cramping as well. So some people will experience cramping in the pre-stages, and then the cramping gets worse as the severity of the sclerosis increases, okay? Difficulty walking. Have you ever heard somebody says, well, you're wobbling? In the medical field, we call it having a steady gait. Do you have a steady gait? That means, can you walk straight when you want to walk straight, So people that end up having this disease, well, guess what? The nervous system is shot. The call center of the brain keeps sending signals and the nervous system is shut down. So think of it, I'm going to give you another visualization. Think of it this way. Your brain is a call center, right? And it has all these different departments in the call center, okay? So the telephone wires is your nervous system, like I told you before. So your brain ends up getting a signal from you. Maybe you're sitting down in a chair, wherever the case may be, and it gets a thought process, a signal of a thought process. I want to get up and walk to the refrigerator. So your brain goes, hold up. I thought I just heard a signal that they want to get up and go walk to the refrigerator. But let me pause for a minute. And then you say that with intense thought again. I'm going to get up, and you start doing movements with your body. I'm going to get ready to get up and go to the refrigerator. So your brain fires off and says, oh my gosh, they're going to get up and go to the refrigerator. All right, nervous system, y'all need to go ahead and send out these messages to the body to move. Well, guess what? When the brain is firing off their signals and their hormones and all of that to the nervous system, if the nervous system is shot, the nervous system is like, nah, we're not doing that. Everything's fine down here. But the brain is getting signals like, no, you need to move, you need to move. But the nervous system is saying, nah. So you have this disruption in communication, whereas before, if everything was normal without sclerosis, everything would be flowing. So then that's when you start having problems when it talks about not being able to walk. In the beginning stages, you're going to have an unsteady gait, wobbling. And then as it goes on further in severity, you're talking about not being able to quite stand or stand at all based on the severity of the sclerosis, okay? It says the inability to rapidly change motions. So whereas before you would just swing your arm, where there's no connection to tell you how fast to swing your arm. So you end up not being able to do it as fast as you would like. So your motor skills is off. The speed and timing of your motor skills begin off. You see how I'm doing my hand? they're off. And then not only that, you're shaking at the same time. So imagine, you see my hands, that's what it would look like when a person has lost their motor functions and movement. So it's changing speed, involuntary movements. I just displayed that to you a while ago. You're not able to control your hands, your legs. Everything is wobbling all over the place. Like if you're an infant, you know how an infant, you ever had to hold an infant? I'm pretty sure everybody has held an infant, a newborn. And what's the main thing everybody sort of makes fun of low key is the baby's head wobbling all over the place. Why? Because those muscles have been built up in that baby's neck. Whereas the opposite of people that have sclerosis, those nerves are gone, almost gone, if not gone at all. So they don't have no control. You see that? No control over their bodily functions. So involuntary movements, muscle paralysis, that's when it gets really severe. So muscle paralysis, that means you may have drooping on the side of your face. You may not be able to walk at all, period. It gets that serious. It's sad because people just think of you having all these problems with sclerosis and you're not able to move. You're not able to take yourself to the bathroom. But the inside of you is saying, I'm fine. I just can't move my body. I'm in here, but I can't move my body. And that ends up leading people to emotional problems, which further aggravates the sclerosis. Bet you didn't know that. Remember, I was telling you in a lot of the lives that whatever affects a lot of the health problems, they end up starting in the mind, or they get more aggravated through whatever you have in your thought process of your mind. Okay? Your mind is a powerful thing. So as we're going on, we're talking about muscle paralysis, um, muscle weakness. That means, have you ever lifted up something and you felt like, oh, I can't lift this up today, my arm is weak? That type of feeling, but intense, times 10, times 9, times 5, wherever they're at with sclerosis, muscle weakness. Feeling like they can't stand up all of a sudden, muscle weakness. Problems with coordination, stiff muscles, stiffness. So they'll experience stiffness. That means when your muscles harden to where it feels like everything is tight. Like if you have a whole bunch of fluid in your arm, it's tight. It's hard to move. It's hard to stretch out your arm. Stiffness, okay? And some people in severe cases of sclerosis, they end up getting contracted. So their arms and their fingers is all twisted. See how I'm saying? Have you ever seen anybody like this? And their fingers is like this because they have some type of problem and they can't move it. That's what ends up happening is your body end up contracting because guess what? True to life, if you do not use it, you'll what? Lose it. And that's what ends up happening because the brain says, oh, well, that's not open anymore. Why are we using that? The nervous system has lost communication with the arm. So guess what? The body tries to conserve itself. So that part of the arm that you're not using or it's not getting signals to the brain's like, oh, well, we don't need to waste energy on that part since I'm not getting any signals that it's available for function. Okay? So you end up having that stiffness. All right? Clumsiness, muscle spasms, overactive reflexes. These are just some of the symptoms. Fatigue and dizziness. Heat to cold. So dizziness, this is where a symptom called vertigo comes in. So some people may experience vertigo, which is you just looking around and all of a sudden you feel dizzy and it ends up making you feel nauseated, like the room is spinning around for no reason. That's a form of vertigo. And that's a form of dizziness as well. People with sclerosis end up having that as well. And having the sensation of all of a sudden you're hot and then intense cold. I was looking at one of the documentaries about people with sclerosis, and this one guy, he was talking about, it was like he was walking on shards all of a sudden. Intense tingling and numbness came out of nowhere. And he said, then it was like he kept walking and he experienced his body go into a deep cold sensation. He felt extremely cold. And then he said, as the moments and few minutes went on by, he's experienced intense heat. Why is that? Because the nervous system has been shot. So there's no regulation of body heat, people. I bet you didn't know that signals for regulating your body heat, those signals come through the nervous system. So when the nervous system is shot, your body is confused on how to regulate your temperature to keep your body in check. Okay? So that's what they end up experiencing. Um, Overactive reflexes, and it says dizziness, fatigue, heat and intense cold, poor balance, and vertigo. Now let's talk about sensory. So when we talk about sensory, I just shared a little bit of it. That's being able to touch, taste, feel. That's your sensory. Okay. So most people will feel like they're on pins and needles. Guess what? People with sclerosis, they're not able to taste their food a lot of times. It doesn't taste correct to them. Because guess what? There are signals in your taste buds as well. I bet you didn't know that. Yes, there are signals in your taste bud that tells you what's sweet, what's sour, what's creamy, what's cold, what's hot. All of that communication on your palate is disrupted due to the nervous system being shot when you have sclerosis. So some people have abnormal taste when they're eating their food. A reduced sensation of touch. So people will experience numbness. Okay? So that means you may be walking around and all of a sudden your arm just goes numb. Your leg goes numb. You could be just sitting for a few minutes and your leg stays numb for maybe an hour. It's something ridiculously out of the norm that you normally wouldn't experience. I'm not talking about when you sit down for maybe 30 minutes and your legs get numb. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about intense, prolonged numbness. That means more than usual. It's out of the norm. You walking around and your leg is numb for a whole hour, 45 minutes. That's unusual type behavior for your body. Okay. So tingling and burning. They'll experience tingling and burning sensation, just like a person would with diabetes, that type of symptoms. They will experience the tingling and burning in their hands, in their feet, in their limbs. Okay. So moving on, which is very embarrassing, they'll either have excessive urination. Okay. So some people with sclerosis will pee a whole lot. And it may get mistaken for them, oh, I may be coming down with diabetes, because what diabetes, you do the same thing as well, but it may not be. So you're talking about having excessive urination or night leaking, okay? And that's not being able to control your bladder. Your bladder is where your urine comes out of, okay? A persistent urge to urinate. So somebody might think that it's a UTI or something going on, some major UTI infection, when it's probably symptoms of sclerosis. Okay. Retention. Now this is the opposite. Retention of urine. Now when we talk about retention of urine, that's you not being able to let out that toxic urine at all. That means it stays up in the body. And for those who have ever been in the medical field and experienced people who have that problem to where they have to stick a cath in them or they have to have a catheter in them all the time so that they can pee, it is very, very uncomfortable to have that feeling. You know how it is uncomfortable just you holding your urine on purpose. So imagine somebody who can't urinate and they're having to wait on somebody to relieve them of their urine if they don't have a portable catheter or a catheter bag already. So that's very painful and it's very toxic. You can get very sick when you have all of that urine, because it's nothing but all your toxic um, fluids, all that toxicity coming out of your body in fluid in the form of urine, which will set you up for UTIs, which will set you up for other infections. Okay, so let's go on to visual. Blurred vision and double vision is what you will experience when you have and vision loss. That means no vision at all, period. When you have sclerosis, depending on how far it agresses, okay, progresses. Um, Now we're going into, hopefully there's no kids in the room. If there's kids in the room, please get them out. I'll give you a second to do that, a minute to do that. But we're going to go into some personal anatomy type stuff. So we're talking about, the kids are gone. We're talking about sexual erectile dysfunction, okay, or sexual dysfunction. Males will have problems if you have sclerosis being able to act out sexual intercourse, okay, when they have sclerosis, because guess what? They don't have no control over that body organ. There's no response. So whereas you would have feelings or hormones in your body that would be triggering you off to get in that type of mood, you do not have it. You have no control over that, okay, because of the disruption of the nervous system being destroyed and shot. And it's the same thing with the females. You have dysfunction, sexual dysfunction as well, because you are not able to have those urges which come from hormones and signals in the nervous system telling you, I want to get it on. So you will not be able to have that urge of wanting to be intimate with your partner. Okay. Mood. So having all these problems and dealing with sclerosis and all its severity or minor issues can be heartbreaking. It can be discouraging. It can also set up you for depression and give you anxiety or mood swings because you're at such a frustrated point that you don't know what to do, or maybe you was diagnosed and you feel like this is the end all, the be all end all, you know, so you see no hope for yourself because the doctor's telling you, well, you're going to be on these prescriptions, but eventually you're just going to be in a wheelchair. Sorry. And you're like, what? You don't have time to really process that, especially if you're a person who loves to be active. That's detrimental to hear something like that. So you're going to be having a lot of anxiety. Like, oh, how much time do I have to spend with my family before I check out and not be able to do these things? And I'm just a vegetable, you know? So you're talking about those type of issues where people are going to have mood swings. They're going to lash out because they don't know how to process that emotion of them having their quality. Remember, I told you quality of life being taken away day by day and not being able to have nothing that they can do to at least alleviate it or to make it go away. Okay. So we go into some more conditions. It's just heartbreaking. Constipation. So not only dealing with the pain of everything else that you can have, tingling, burning, all of those issues, constipation can also cause pain as well. Because guess what? The nervous system also helps contract the colon. Contract and release the colon. So imagine you not having that contraction, that release and contraction in your colon, and all that toxic stool is stuck up there, causing you to feel even more sick. Did you know, I'm going to drop this nugget on you. Did you know that you being constipated, it has been known that it affects your mood? Oh, yeah. It affects your emotional mood. Yes, it can affect your emotional mood. It can make you angry. It can make you agitated. just from having that toxic stool and being constipated, guys. So imagine being constipated on a regular basis and having that pain from all that hard stool pressing up against your intestinal wall. Because remember, your intestinal walls can only stretch so far. The upper and the lower GI can only stretch so far. So you're having that pain. And then if you can't talk, you have got to the severity of the sclerosis where you're not able to talk at all. You have a speech impediment, and you're trying to tell your caretaker or whoever is there with you that I'm having problems. You're trying to move your body to let them know you're in pain, that something's going on, and they quite don't listen to you or quite don't get it right. That's horrible. That's a horrible feeling to have. So it also leads, of course, who wouldn't be depressed? Depression. And then you end up having problems swallowing as well when you start getting into the severity of the sclerosis. That means being able to swallow your food. Your throat will be numb. Imagine, you know how you had oral gel in your mouth and you accidentally get it on your tongue? How that numb feeling feels. It feels weird and irritating to you because you just only wanted it on your teeth. So now you're trying to, move your tongue around so you can feel it. You know it's there. You know it's moving around, but it's your consciousness, your mind is telling you, let me feel it. I gotta feel it. I have to feel that it's there, but it's there. Okay. So this causes people to end up choking, okay, because they can't feel that sensation of the swallowing. Okay. In the medical field, we call this dysphagia, where you're not able to swallow your food. Okay. Um, Difficulty thinking, understanding, and being able to project your thoughts. Okay. So, of course, the call center is totally confused. The brain, the call center, the left and the temporal lobe, all of that, all the departments in your brain are confused. They totally out of whack because the nervous system is shot. So you're going to have a hard time putting words together. You're going to have a hard time speaking. Your speech is going to be slurred or even slowed, trying to get that out because of the dysfunction that's going on with the sclerosis. Okay. And having foggy thoughts, of course, and understanding, being able to comprehend what somebody is telling you. They may have to repeat it a couple of times because of the sclerosis um, that you're having, okay, depending on what level you're at. Numbness in the face and rapid facial movement. Remember, I was talking about that before, that you're going to have tics, which is the muscles have no control on them, so they move rapidly. You may have somebody, their eyes is blinking constantly. Okay, that's a form of something going on in the nervous system that's not correct. Okay, that jaw drooping, that left side or right side drooping, your face drooping. People that get into severity of sclerosis, they end up drooling because there's no um, nervous system signals telling you, raise your upper lip, close your mouth, not being able to do that. Okay. So let's talk about the lifespans. The lifespan of a person with MS or sclerosis or any form of sclerosis. Usually it's not fatal. That's what they're saying here. But you end up dying off from complications sometimes. Remember, I told you the toxicity of the urine being in your body can set you up for other infections that can possibly take you out. But sclerosis itself is not fatal. But the lifespan of a person with sclerosis is usually 5 to 10 years lower than average. 5 to 10 years lower than average. Okay. But there's hope on the horizon. Okay. It says here that percentage is getting smaller every time, every year. So that's hope. that we're coming to some type of some possible permanent solution to this crazy, just depressing disease. So that's just hope around the corner. But what can you say to hope to a person that's dealing with it right now? And that's the sad part, is you wish you could be able to do something right now for them so that they can live a quality of life. Okay. So I'm just going to drop some facts that you probably didn't know about. Um, that you probably didn't know about. There was a study that was done when we talk about sclerosis or any form of the 12 forms. For one, they don't know what causes it at all, period. They don't know how it starts as far as what triggers it off to the nervous system to go haywire and start attacking itself, the autoimmune system to shut down and start attacking itself. They don't know why this happens, but they know that stress plays a good part in it. So excessive stress can also trigger off. Maybe you have a gene type that has that gene type of you being prone through somebody in your family that might have sclerosis, having that gene, and you got that gene, and you're in intense stress, and it ends up triggering off that gene to cause you to go into sclerosis. But this is a fact that you probably did not know about. It's not really a fact, but a theory. It's a theory. Let me correct that. A theory that one of the scientists and researchers came up with, and that multiple sclerosis or any form of sclerosis is a possible STD. Wow. Now that's a shocker. Now it seems far-fetched, but the conclusion from his studies, what he was showing, was that antibody can be passed on. So I'm just going to read a little bit of that information. But it also says here that stress and environmental factors and genetics are what they're thinking also causes you to go into sclerosis. But this little known research right here was very interesting, because an STD, who thinks of MS or any type of form of sclerosis being a possible STD? You being able to catch that gene or that pathogen from someone else. So let me read this, because this was just powerful and interesting information. It says here from Medscape, this is where I'm getting this information from, a website called Medscape. Could multiple sclerosis be a sexually transmitted disease? I'm just going to read a little bit of it, guys. It says here, there was a research done September 20th, 2002 on MS. And it says here, MS may be in part a sexually transmitted disease, or STD, according to a scholarly review of evidence published in an October issue of the Journal of Neurology and Neurology Surgery and Psychiatry. However, an accompanying editorial presents data arguing this hypothesis. So, guys, it's just the theory that some of the researchers and scientists are coming up with. It says here, I propose that multiple sclerosis is a sexually transmitted infection acquired principally during adolescence and mainly from the infected. That means people who already have it, but they haven't showed symptoms yet. And it's not necessarily symptomatic in males, which means it won't show up in males, the symptoms that quick of sclerosis. And so they're figuring that the males may be passing it on, but it doesn't show no symptoms. Like with HPV, the males usually don't have any symptoms with HPV, but it's the females that do once they get it. So it's just showing that. It says here that Charles H. Hawks, MD, FRCP, from the Institute of Neurology of Queen Square in London, UK, says, I do not suggest that sexual transmission is the only case, but that its inherited factors create a susceptibility to a sexually transmitted neurotropic agent. So basically, what it's saying is that, guys, not that it's like a regular STD where you're passing those fluids on and you're getting boils, whatever the case may be, burning and itching. But it's saying that because DNA is in everything, that is passing through sexual transmission. A theory, guys, not factual, but a theory that it's passing that genome, that gene onto inside of that person during, you know, sexual transmission. I'll put it like that. So that was just interesting research that they're trying to figure out, and some of the far-fetched theories out there that they're trying to figure out why this happens to people, why they have sclerosis. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into some more, and then I'll go into some solutions. We're almost there, guys. It says here, here's another interesting fact that you probably didn't know about. How many of you know what a mishug is and sclerosis? An MS hug. I said miss, but an MS hug. Have you ever heard of that? This is another crazy fact. Guys, I tell you, I find these facts and doing research, and I'm just shocked myself, because you think that, this is all that there is to this disease or illness or disorder, and you find out little tidbits of extra stuff that you didn't even know about. There's this disorder with the sclerosis, especially in particular with MS, called the MS hug. And basically, it's the banding and the grinding. And it's a symptom of MS where they feel like they have chest pain, rib pain, and a tight, uncomfortable band around their chest. So with that symptom, which is called an MS hug, it feels like if some sumo wrestler then came and wrapped their arms around them and just squeezed the mess out of them, to where they feel like the sensation of chest pressure and like their rib cage want to crack. That's the sensation that they feel. And it's called an MS hug. It's this syndrome, MS hug syndrome symptom. Okay, so they feel that problem, which can be very uncomfortable and disturbing to have. Okay, and it says it can be felt anywhere between the neck and the waist, and may feel so tight around the chest that it's painful to breathe. So if you know anybody who might be having these symptoms and they have MS or some form of sclerosis, and they're saying, I can't breathe, it feels like I can't breathe, they are experiencing a symptom called MS hug. Okay, so that's just some other tidbit information that you might not have known about. So what can you do as far as nutrition before we get to some herbal solutions that you can try to help alleviate some of these problems that you may be having with your health? Okay, it says here, foods, first you got to stop eating those things that triggers sclerosis, and there are some foods that do that. Foods to avoid: foods that are high in saturated fats, trans fats. For those that didn't know, cow's milk aggravates sclerosis. Refined and artificial sugars, all those chemicalized sugars. Now, guys, you really don't know how damaging regular sugar freaking is. Sugar has been known to be called a drug, and it's twice as addictive, I believe it said, than crack or cocaine. It's one of those two hardcore drugs, and it's stronger than that. Okay. And what you don't realize is that the sugar, once it gets in your body, it crystallizes and it starts wrecking up your nervous system. That's why diabetics have problems, And when they go in and they see all those freaking crystals, that's what's causing their neuropathy problems. It's crystals in their veins disrupting their nervous system because those crystals have hardened. Sugary crystals have hardened. Something so sweet but deadly has went in the body and disrupted everything. It's causing pain. Well, guess what? Those same sugars also helps aggravate sclerosis. Okay? Those hard artificial sugars, regular, refined, granulated sugars, it doesn't matter. Any form of artificial sugars affects sclerosis. Salt, we're talking about sodium, artificial forms of sodium. Something other than sea salt or Himalayan salt, because those have beneficial factors, but even then you should use that to a certain amount. But we're talking about iodine, table salts, all of those high sodium type foods is going to aggravate your sclerosis. Okay, refined carbs. So when we're talking about refined carbs, sorry, we're talking about rice. And in particular, rice is white rice. White rice has the highest content of carbs, of sugary carbs. And carbs is just another word for sugar. People try to, separate it from something that it's the same thing. Carbs is just sugar. Now, your body produces natural carbs. That's fine. What happens is when you get an influx of carbs, that's unnatural. And that just disrupts your body's functional system. So this helps aggravate your sclerosis. Refined carbs, so anything starchy, rice, pasta, that's a refined carb. Those types of things, spaghetti noodles, instant cup of noodles, all of that crazy stuff, okay? That's refined carbs. Potatoes too, potatoes as well, very high in starch and carbs. Gluten, anything with gluten in it, that's the sticky substance that helps dough to stick together, making cookies and breads and cereals and stuff like that. Usually come from flour and wheat products and stuff like that. That can aggravate your sclerosis. Okay, so that's just some things to stay away from to help you ease those symptoms of sclerosis and also reduce your stress. So remember, I told you physical and mental, all of it plays a part on bringing out symptoms in your body, in your external part of your body. So you want to reduce your stress level, take yoga, meditate, deep breathe, practice deep breathing. And actually, deep breathing is something good to practice because it helps bring in more oxygen to the body. You need to be able to oxygenate the body, put more oxygen into the body. And a lot of times we're not doing that with our quick in and out breaths. You think that you're breathing enough. A lot of times you are not. So anybody in general needs to practice deep breathing. The in and out of a breath, okay? Because that helps oxygenate your body more, okay? A lot of times a headache can be relieved by deep breathing. Bet you didn't know that because there's not enough oxygen a lot of times going into the brain. Deep breathing, guys, in and out, okay? So what are some good type of foods that can help reinforce a better quality of life if you have sclerosis or as prevention, okay? We're talking about fresh fruits and vegetables. So leafy greens, all the fresh fruits that you can have. Low fat protein diet. So anything that's low in fats, okay? Having that protein, that good protein, beans, legumes, all that type of stuff. Nuts, okay? It says here low fat dairy, so limiting your dairy content intake. So you probably, instead of drinking whole milk, which I don't touch any cow's milk, period, I prefer to lean on the nut milks because that's a healthier option, or soy milk. But you want to lean towards those options, okay? And it says here, yes, okay. So you want to lean towards foods that are green, fresh fruits and vegetables, low protein, fish, omegas, all of that good stuff you want to have in your body. And like it says before, you gotta, it's very important to watch what you eat and reduce your stress levels. So, guys, now we're going to go into just some of the ways that they treat um, people with sclerosis, and then we're going to go into a solution that you can try. Okay. So, a lot of times with sclerosis, the doctor, once he finds out after so many tests, because a lot of people, they go through a lot trying to figure out what the hell is going on with them. And with sclerosis, it's a very, very easy hit and miss, hit and miss all the time. Okay. So a lot of people end up seeing more than one physician just to figure out at the end of the day it's sclerosis. Okay. And that's heartbreaking because a lot of people don't like going to the doctor. Okay. So imagine having to go to one doctor to another doctor. Somebody's saying it's lupus, somebody's saying it's this, somebody's saying it's that, and these are all medical professionals. Side note, okay? All medical professionals, but they can't seem to figure out what in the heck is wrong with you, okay? So when you finally find out, of course, Big Pharma and doctor are going to get together and come up with a nice, neat package plan for you. I have nothing against doctors, but I do have something against medications that's going to make you have side effects and make you feel worse than when you came, okay? So they're going to give you medications such as chemo. Did you know they use chemotherapy, which is a high form of radiation that is used to treat people with cancer, to kill a toxic tumor out of their body with toxic drugs of radiation called chemo? Well, they use chemo for people who have sclerosis. Now that's crazy. Talking about a double whammy of toxicity going into your body. So you're already having weak muscles and everything like that. What do you think chemo does when you get it? A lot of times, 90% of the time, people experience weakness, vomiting, not wanting to eat. You already have loss of taste buds with your sclerosis already. So now you're having to go through this harsh treatment and then losing weight on top of that with chemo. A lot of times people lose weight, and the saddening thing, their hair, especially for women. Guys, they tend to, if they lose their hair or they go bald, it's a big thing to them too. I'm not going to make light of it, but usually they just be like, okay, well, I'm just go bald. Screw it. But a woman used to having hair, especially down her back or her shoulders, or just having hair, period, being able to style it and everything, and you're getting treated with chemo and you have sclerosis and your hair is falling out. So now you're dealing with tremors, you're dealing with loss of urination function, you're taking these drugs that's making you sick and nauseated, and you're losing your hair. Imagine what that's doing to the inside your emotional system. And the cycle is repeating itself because guess what? You're sending out those hormones and those chemical signals because you're so depressed and you're so aggravated, you're so angry at what's going on with you. And all it's doing is re-aggravating your sclerosis. Okay? So it's just a vicious cycle. And then they also treat you with medicated anti-inflammatories. Now, guys, your body has an inflammatory system already, an anti-inflammatory system. Not only that, there's natural things in the earth that helps with anti-inflammatory. But no, once again, Big Pharma and doctor get together and they shake hands and they say, no, you're not going to do it the holistic way. You're going to do it our way, damn it. And this is what you're going to take. Because guess what? Cha-ching. So you believing that this is the best option for you because you're at a point where you're not really all there per se, because you just want to get rid of the mess that's going on with your body, or at least decrease it. So the doctor says, oh, we got this. Well, this didn't work this time. The chemo didn't work, but we got something else. We got something else. We got this inflammatory. And the person, remember I told you, there's always a person every time you see a facility, a person walking with a suitcase and dressed in a suit, walking into these facilities, coming from Big Pharma's house with these new medications every time. When they said the first medication that they came out would work for you. Okay? So the doctor says, oh, we're going to give you this anti-inflammatory, this particular one. I know you took one before and it wasn't doing anything, and you're saying that you don't want to take it anymore. But no. We're not going to do that. We're going to take scheduled and anti-inflammatory B. That's what we're going to do. And this is going to work. So there you are taking this anti-inflammatory. Now, if you're taking chemo and an anti-inflammatory, that's even more crazy, because guess what? These medications have side effects. Okay? So you're going into side effects with that. So the first one that dealt with chemo was mitoxantrone. I hope I'm not butchering that name. But that's the one that deals with chemo. It's one of the medications they use for chemo and treating sclerosis. And then for the anti-inflammatory, the prescription is called interferon beta 1A. That even sounds psychedelic. That sounds like some futuristic crap that they're giving you. You know what I'm saying? It even sounds like it don't belong in your body. And that's supposed to be an anti-inflammatory to help solve the problems with your sclerosis. Because remember, when the nervous system is being attacked and that covering is gone and it's going in there and it's damaging everything, guess what? You're getting inflammation in your body. Yeah, because it's like somebody eating, like a vampire eating at your veins. Well, that's all that aggravation is going to cause inflammation in your body. So they're trying to get that under control because it's aggravating your sclerosis even further, okay? And then they have immunosuppressants or steroids. So this one is called methylene prosolone. I don't want to butcher that name, but it's a steroid. So now they're slapping another man on you. Doctor and Big Pharma get together and say, oh, well, we got her on chemo. That wasn't working quite well. Put her on the anti-inflammatory, or him on the anti-inflammatory. Let's slap that on top of that. A plus B, CBD, EFG, HIJK still didn't work. Okay, let's slap another med on top of that. Steroid medicine. Now, guys, if you know anything about steroids, just based off of people who sneak around and do it with sports, that should tell you enough right there about the side effects with steroids. Remember I told you about those mood swings that you get with sclerosis already because you're aggravated and you're trying to deal with that internally? Well, steroids has been known to cause mood swings, aggressive ones at that. So now imagine if you have a severe form of sclerosis and you have been taking chemo, you're throwing up and everything, you're losing your hair, you're feeling aggravated, you're depressed. They got you on an antidepressants as well. Let me slide that one up in there. You see how it's chinging up on you, but it's not solving your problem, is it? Okay? And then they get you on the anti-inflammatory. They slap that in there. Cha-ching. There you go. And then they slap the steroid on there. Okay? So the steroid is supposed to, help reinforce what's already in your body to be able to slow down the symptoms of this sclerosis. And it's just a shame because I've heard so many testimonies when I was looking up online about people dealing with these symptoms, who get on these prescriptions, that it ends up making their sclerosis worse. One woman in particular, when I was looking at her testimony, she was talking about how when she was having twitching before, and they put her on the medication that was supposed to help her for her sclerosis, the twitching and everything went on more aggressively times 20, times 50. It was just ridiculous. And she was saying that her quality of life was just being limited because she had kids. She had kids and she couldn't even take care of her kids. She's like, this medicine is not working, you know? So it's just so sad that people end up going through that. But guys, there's not a cure all end all yet. But hopefully, if you're watching this and you have been going through some type of symptoms with your health, I'm here to tell you that there is an option that you can try. Now, like I said before, we're not medical professionals, so I suggest you do your research, but we do have supplements that can help alleviate your health issues. Okay, help bring a lot of that down to a pause, help you feel better, help you get a quality of life. We're not saying it's a cure, but we're saying that it's going to help you possibly gain back the quality of life that you had before. So, guys, the CBD oil that we have it, and our CBD oil is created equal because not all CBD oils are created equal. Okay, and this is this going into the closing of what options you can take. And we have those products with GMP certified, which means we have good manufacturing practices, with GMO free, which means we don't have no genetic stem cell plants of cannabis going anywhere to make this CBD oil. We're cruelty free company. We don't beat animals or drug test them to get CBD oil so we can use it. We don't do any of that mess. You're getting quality over quantity. You go to another place, you might get quantity instead of quality, meaning you're going to buy a cheap bottle of CBD oil, but guess what? It's not going to do anything because a lot of them are filled with sand and other pollutants. And you don't want that when you're trying to get real relief, serious relief. So if you're looking for serious relief of your symptoms, not saying it's a cure, you definitely want to check us out. Not only that, the company that makes the CBD oil is made here in US of A. So I hope you enjoyed this information. And for those that did not know about this form of sclerosis, which is MS, I hope that was some valuable information. Guys, we're going to go ahead and close it out. For all of you that are looking for more information on products that you can use, you can go to the side and come and join us. Again, hopefully you love this show so much, or you like the information that you was receiving tonight with your host, LaTasha J. Come into the live once again. Tomorrow night, we will be having another live show with Terry Lidge, the one that's in there in the chat room right now. And he's going to be also dropping some powerful health topics and solutions as well as what you can try. And guys, if you like the show, be sure to share this live because it will be saved. Share this live with family, friends, people on Facebook. Share it with them because this is powerful information they might not have known about. They probably didn't know about the MS hug, okay? And they're trying to figure out what's going on with their family member that has sclerosis. So be sure to share this video with them. It's some powerful information. And for those of you who are just go-getters and you want to be part of the movement that we're doing to help people gain their quality of life back, help people change the way they think about their health, that information is on the side as well. We want to welcome you in. Definitely get connected with us. The information to get in contact with Terry is in there and with me. Add us to your friend list. We would love to share and talk with you and see what we can do for you because our whole movement here at CBD Movement Talk Live is to help you have a better life. So, with that being said, guys, stay loved, stay blessed, stay prosperous, and stay in great health. Take care and good night.